everybody, welcome to OnPodcast, the On Microsoft podcast, the only podcast for On Microsoft. And I think I said that, 3 or 4 times? I got on in there, so I'm going for a record again.
You need to
I,
represent the brand.
right, just lots of on. My name is Kareem Anderson, and I'm joined tonight with the world's greatest co-host.
Arif Bacchus.
Yeah, and we're here to bring you some Microsoft news, any and all of it. We're going to have a couple of topics to talk about today. So big ones that kind of happened over the week, starting off with some Surface laptop rumors. I know those of us who are anxious about clamshell laptops and really enjoy the Surface brand, this is potentially some good news to talk about.
And then, if you're a fan of Microsoft Edge, there was a big update this week. So we'll just look through some of the things that have changed in the new version 88 of Microsoft Edge.
Then there's the biggest news, which is we had Fall Guys on Xbox plus some Xbox Live Gold news, Xbox Gold Live news, and some moonwalking that Microsoft's currently doing this weekend on some proposed changes. We
As
have
the
all
title
that.
says, we're calling it drama a little bit.
It's a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit of the drama that happened this weekend, and then all of that plus our specialty, our featured
Uh, the,
piece.
w- the week ahead.
Yeah, where we're going to be talking about some reviews and some other more interesting Microsoft news, some teasers, some inside builds, and one potentially huge political thing involving Microsoft that we'll be keeping an eye on during the week.
And
All
let's
that,
not forget also our special guest that we do have coming soon.
yeah, we have we're bringing you guys another guest because we've decided that that is what people want. As much as you guys like to hear us, maybe a third voice would be welcomed.
So just get us started now and talk about this Surface Laptop 3 Plus or maybe even Surface Laptop 4. I know you're a Surface guy.
Yeah. So I believe an FCC Bluetooth certificate for the Surface laptop. We don't know what the official title is. We're just going to go with 3 Plus right now because it seems like a Plus type upgrade. We had the Surface Pro 7 Plus, which came in with a new chipset and a tweak to where I believe the storage is at now. They
SSD, removable
the
SSD.
removable SSD. Aside from that, it's really just more of a minor spec bump. And based on this Bluetooth certificate, it seems that the Surface Laptop 3 Plus is following suit. There are rumors that it could be coming out, and these rumors are coming again from sources close to the matter. Believe Zach Bowden over Windows Central kind of reported on this. Some believe it can be coming out as early as the end of this month or early next month. Windows Central is a little more cautious, thinking that it can come out between March and April. Either way, it's an early refresh, not indicative of their fall lineup, which they normally have, where they kind of do the big splash of 3, 4 plus Surface devices all being upgraded, some of them with design changes. Um, yeah, so again, Surface Laptop 3 Plus is coming potentially with just the Intel 11th gen, some updated AMDs as well. And so far, no word on any kind of redesign as of just yet. And this is kind of leading to a theory that I was kind of pitching back and forth with RF myself, is that, and I believe Lauren as well in the chat, is that because of COVID, it's easier for Microsoft, at least as of right now, to produce spec bumps because they can keep the same chassis, don't have to do any new milling for the insides and kind of rearrange I/O and stuff like that. To just kind of do this and perhaps maybe take 2021 off. What do you think?
I think it's probably like everything else in the computing industry. It's probably, like you said, more about the money and trying not to overspend like in the middle of a refresh cycle. I mean, right now, all of the laptops we're seeing have 11th gen chips, and it's probably going to hold strong all the way up until the end of this year. So if the chips themselves aren't really that different, it makes sense for Microsoft not to overhaul the design of the laptops and rather just call it a minor specs upgrade, like what Apple has did with the MacBook lineups between like the last what 2 or 3 years. They've always been the same, and it's just been small things like new chips or new the touch bar or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, for those of us who were excited and kind of pushing for Microsoft to upgrade the design, probably add an additional USB-C port or another USB-A port or somehow squeeze in there micro SD or something like that. We may be waiting a little bit longer. It'll be interesting to see what, if anything, they have to introduce in the October timeframe. I don't know, again, if they're waiting to do that or if they're, again, just take this year off, which, for enthusiasts might be bad news. For their R&D might be great, give them a chance to catch up. And as you said, without huge advances coming from Intel, there's no real incentive for a lot of people to kind of go out and rush and buy these new devices.
Is that like a good thing or a bad thing for Microsoft? Because right now everyone is like going hard on Apple for, oh, they have a new M1 chip in their MacBook, and oh, I think Bloomberg the other day on Friday was like, oh, they're planning a big redesign. So where does this leave Microsoft in that space of Apple? Everyone always does it, compares Apple to Microsoft. So if they're just going with minor specs bumps, is it disappointing per se?
Um, well, it's disappointing as far as news coverage is concerned. Again,
Yeah,
for the if I even was being generous, the 20% of enthusiasts and creatives who use Windows, for the 80% in enterprise who all rushed out and bought laptops to kind of hold themselves over for quarantine and COVID and things like that, it's great news for them. They don't have to worry about their Surface server being outdated. They don't have to worry about their company refreshing their inventory or anything like that. They can just say, hey, we bought laptops last year. They haven't changed anything. Let's save some money, everybody.
that's
But
all.
yeah, the
That's
comparisons are going to be there. They're going to, point to how outdated, because again, Microsoft's always sort of behind
yeah,
design
right.
wise and spec wise for their Surface devices. So now they're putting such another year behind potentially. So yeah, the narrative is going to be horrible, but though I think they'll weather the storm.
Either way, it looks like this Surface. Well, I'm just gonna call it next generation Surface laptop because I don't know if it's 3 plus or four or
We're going plus
six
right
or
now. I'm
eight
leaving
or
everything at
10.
plus. Spec bumps are
It's
all pluses.
the next Surface laptop. Either way, it looks like it's a reality because other than the Bluetooth certification, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago. It also passed through testing in somewhere in Korea through their certification testing, and everyone reported on it then. And then also they had the leaks on Geekbench where they spotted the AMD and the Intel chips and the code names that Microsoft uses for Surface products. So it definitely looks like this thing is coming sooner rather than later.
I mean, hey, they could also sort of give the design a refresh by just adding new colors. And if the chipsets are fast enough, you'd be surprised how much life that gives an old device. Like everyone's gushing over the M1 chip, but the design of the MacBook hadn't changed.
Yeah, right.
People are
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to rush out and buy this new MacBook because it has a better chip. So if AMD, we know what Intel can do, and these Iris X, I think it is Iris X
Iris
graphics,
XC. Yeah.
XT graphics, if these prove to be formidable and a chassis that's everyone knows, and it's not like the laptops are super thick and they need to be thinned down and the bezels are crazy. Like if you get yourself a nice new blue color, nice new sandstone color, something like that, and keep it the same, people are still going to rush out and be like, oh, I got the new one, I got the new version. Bring back burgundy, by the way. I love that one.
Just slap a new color on it and call it new, and everyone will buy it,
Marketing,
like they
baby,
did with
guys,
the
come on.
iPhones.
Exactly.
Well, something that is also new is the new version of Microsoft Edge. So you might have heard that Google rolled out version 88 of Chrome. So right after Google rolled out version 88 of Chrome, Microsoft rolled out version 88 of Edge. As you know, both the new Edge is built on the same engine as Google Chrome, which is Chromium. So but there's a lot of different features that separate Chrome from Edge. So there's a lot of new stuff that Microsoft is introducing in Edge 88. First of all, for you people who are still holding on to Flash Player, which was declared dead, I think, in December, Edge 88 officially removes the built in Flash Player in Edge and support for the legacy FRP protocol. And then, in addition to that, now we're getting into the juicy stuff, which is the new stuff. There are a couple of new features and design changes. First of all, you should notice now that they've updated the icons in Edge to have the new Fluent Design icons, which we talked about last week when we went hands on with Windows 10X. There are now some new icons that better match up with what we've seen so far in Windows 10. Then the home icon, the refresh icon, favorites icon, apps icon, they're all now more cleaner and more simplistic to better match up with what we've seen so far in Windows 10. And then in addition to that, vertical tabs is also going out of beta. So if you have a lot of tabs open, you could stack them to the side of the browser rather than the top to help make it easier to manage whatever you're working on right now. And then obviously something that a lot of people are doing right now is they're working across different platforms where passwords might be saved. And it's really important right now to have passwords that aren't 123456789 ABC 123 across every website. You want to have different passwords for everything, every different website that you go to or that you're using. So Edge is getting a new password generator, and this new password generator will help suggest strong passwords when you sign up for new accounts on the web or when you change existing passwords for online services. And then there's also a new password monitor that will help scan your passwords to see if they've been breached. It's a lot about security, but there are also some other things too, which should help in terms of performance. And I'll let Kareem get into those.
Yeah, let me see our notes here about the performance stuff because I had to refresh myself and take a step back because I've been an insider for forever. So when these new features were announced, I had to actually go back and remember what some of you people who are on the public release channel are kind of experiencing now. So looking at some of the other features, we have history and tab sync, which I guess should be coming to you guys if you haven't already had it.
That's a
There's
big
new,
one because Chrome had that for like years now, but Edge launched without it, and everyone was so upset. So now you could finally sync everything that on your across different PCs.
and it's actually pretty subtle the way that they do the notification to notify you that this is a new feature. So if you're flying around your browser, you may bypass that notification. Just keep an eye out for it. You can also right click on any word in the web page to do a search in the side panel, which has been kind of a game changer for me because now I don't need to necessarily open up a whole new tab to then forget that I had it open and have to close it at some point. I can do the search. It just kind of slides the I'd say 1/4 of a page in size, and it's a full Microsoft Bing powered search. So if there's images or anything else associated with it, wiki pages, they all kind of just show up in the page, and it's great for copy paste as well. You don't really lose your spot when you're able to kind of just take the text from that search right into the same page that you're in. Um, the company's also added 24 new themes, so I'm gonna have to try and check out these new other official themes that they have, which is again kind of a cool thing to have. I know that Chrome has a version of it that you can either get from the web store or you can find sources, online and other web pages to kind of do it. So if you're looking to, just change out the monochromatic gray theme, or if you're using the light theme, this would be something kind of cool to use. I'm waiting for them to tie this into the settings menu so that it can do an automatic switch, which I think would be kind of cool. Like you can have your tiles, I think of those of you who do the outline border on your windows and other things that are highlighted with your theme from your settings kind of transferred over to the Edge browser automatically or based on your background. That'd be pretty awesome. And then last but not least, Edge users will soon notice a new experiment in the new tab page with a new smart tile for Outlook showing that the three most recent emails, as well as shortcuts for creating new emails or events. So again, it's really just, I believe, preparing everybody for the Windows 10X future when
Yeah.
everything is done through the browser. And I'll let you kind of run with that idea.
Again, Edge is a not. If you have not tried the new Edge, we both suggest that you go download it now and play with it because it's not what it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's not your
It's
Papa's Edge
yeah,
or Internet Explorer.
it's not your daddy's Edge. It's some can argue it's even better than Google Chrome because of if you're a Microsoft person, the way it integrates with Windows and the way it integrates with your Microsoft account, it's really amazing.
Yeah, I'm working. I have a coworker who I've actually convinced, not through my own pitching of of Edge, but just through he's seen me use it and kind of just the things I've been pulling out of it, and he slowly moved from Chrome. It took about 4 to 6 weeks, but as he started, he really just saw Edge as your Chrome launcher. Like you go there, you get Chrome, and you forget about it. And he asked me the other day, like, or a few weeks back, like, hey, what do you use? And it's like, I use Edge. And every now and then, if I need to use something specific with Chrome, I'll pull it out, but I normally don't. And I've seen improvement in battery life, which was the big kicker for him. That's one of the reasons I started experimenting with it. And then all the other built in features, like I said, like search and stuff like that, because I got him on the Insider as well. And he's been like, dude, I didn't know Microsoft had a browser this powerful. Like he's used to Internet Explorer, which was a bog. The old Edge that came right with Windows 10 and the old Internet Explorer slash Edge experiment in Windows 8. But now he's been using Edge and loves it. So, it's worth, like, I've said, it's worth a second look. And they're iterating on it super quickly. Like, because they dropped the Edge HTML, they've been able to kind of, toss out features, test features at such a pretty quick clip that anything that you may be longing for from Chrome could be, done within a few months or so.
Says try it today. We'll put the link in the down. Put the link in the downloads. Put the put the link in the comment below so you could go download it if you want to play with this new version of Edge.
Yeah, it's
And
awesome.
speaking of new, let's get into Xbox Live Gold because there is some new drama that we want to talk about.
Yeah, Microsoft is pulling a mulligan. They had a whoopsie going into the weekend. I believe, was it Friday was the news broke?
Friday morning, there was some big news about the price of Xbox Live Gold increasing, but then by Friday afternoon, not even afternoon, at midnight on Friday, which is basically Saturday morning now, they did a complete 360. But I'll let you get into the details because you're an Xbox guy.
Yeah, I'm an Xbox guy, and for the most part, they've kept Xbox Live Gold separate from Xbox Game Pass. And yeah, Xbox Game Pass is basically sucking up all of the cool new features and promotions and sales and discounts, while Xbox Live Gold, because it's used mainly just to get online, has remained steady. And at some point, we all figured that they would merge them into just one subscription. And I believe what they did this weekend, where they or this Friday, where they decided to raise the price. And in some markets that they hadn't raised it in years, they decided to raise the price. It was one way to push people into a future where it's just bundled into one price, kind of what like Netflix is sort of doing to us every other year, where they say, hey, it's gonna be another dollar or so. Don't worry about it. We'll give you more content. Microsoft tried it, and people did not go for it. What they originally had was, at least as far as the proposal Friday morning, was uh, Xbox Live Gold was going to go up in price from what were the deal? What were the prices? For 1 month, it was going to be $10.99. 3 months, $29.99, and for 6 months, $59.99 for your market equivalent wherever you're at. And so, in some markets internationally, that it's kind of a hefty increase in price. They threw it out there, like you said, Friday morning. Usually, when you have bad news, like what everyone's perceiving this
Right,
to
yeah.
be, you do it Friday evening, Friday and late evening, and you kind of go through the weekend and let it, stew. I don't know why they decided to do it Friday morning, but I think the outcry, the feedback was so prevalent that they ended up, like you said, Friday evening, kind of backtracking and saying like there will not officially be a price increase. So they heard from the fans. I could think, Phil Spencer could probably see through the telemetry that they were losing some of that goodwill they've been building up over the last 4 to 5 years as an Xbox team. I'm glad that they decided to go back on this, but I do fear that this isn't the first that we've seen of the merging. And I feel like it's going to need to be more of a band-aid situation where they just rip the band-aid off, throw it, throw in the requirement for Xbox Live Gold, and put it into Game Pass at some point, and not backtrack and just force people into this new one subscription future.
But with the change that they announced at midnight on Friday evening, it also means that free to play games on Xbox consoles will no longer need Xbox Live Gold. So games like Fortnite, which is free to download, you could play it with your friends without having to pay for Xbox Live Gold. So if you're allowing people to play games for free, it may be, hey, you're showing them, hey, this is what Game Pass is capable of. Let's see if you could try that too.
Yeah, it was as we do the like bundles of 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. I believe Jez Corden over at Windows Central, who's their Xbox gaming beat guy, really put it succinctly when he compared the 12-month subscription plan with the new proposed price as being $120 versus PlayStation Plus at $60. And when you look at that huge of a divide, that huge of a gulf between the prices and what they essentially do, it made no sense. And I think people, again, responded to it. And I applaud Microsoft for basically coming to their senses and saying, like, hey, not only are we not going to do that bad idea, we're actually going to kind of do what most of you wanted us to do for quite some time.
But that was not the only Xbox thing that we want to talk about today. So you guys might be familiar with Fall Guys, pun intended, which is a new platform battle royale game developed by what is it, Mediatonic?
Yeah,
It's one of
that's
the
right.
most hyped games of 2020, other than Cyberpunk, which and
Is Cyberpunk really anymore, though?
Among Us. And
Yeah.
it launched on PC and PlayStation 4 in August, towards the end of last year, and it sold over 11 million copies on Steam. And it's one of the most downloaded free PlayStation Plus games of all time. Well, obviously, from what I just said there, it's not on Xbox, it's only on PC. But a message from a Reddit user, it gained some traction as it showed the Xbox team teasing the arrival of Fall Guys and Xbox Game Pass. The team is known for its use of that tone on Reddit and social media, but the reply to the thread on Reddit, which we'll have the screenshot of here, seemed pretty serious that Fall Guys is coming to Xbox Game Pass. And it was even on Twitter, I believe the Game Pass account tweeted that Fall Guys is coming to Game Pass. And then I sent this to Laurent. I'm like, hey, you got to write an article about this. This is big news. And then he was in the middle of writing the article. And then the company behind Fall Guys, they basically tweeted out that it's not coming at this time. So basically, maybe Microsoft jumped the boat and announced something ahead of time before it was happening. But for now, it looks like Fall Guys is not coming to Xbox Game Pass. So don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing for that to have transpired the way it did. I think again, it just seems like this weekend ish, which is the bad. It was a big L for Xbox in general. Uh, they tried some things. The timing was off for a lot of it. As I'm sure their prepared statement for what they did with Xbox Live Go applies to Fall Guys as well, where I believe they quote saying, "We messed up today, and you're right to let us know. Today's update on the announcement reads, connecting and playing with friends is a vital part of gaming, and we failed to meet our expectation of players who count on it every day. As a result, we've decided not to change Xbox Live Gold pricing, and I believe they can just put a comment in there. And we are looking to get Fall Guys on Xbox as
Uh,
soon as possible. Sorry to get your hopes up.
I can I literally that's like the most sorriest statement you could ever say.
Hey, I mean, there's got to be points for sincerity, right? Like, they, I believe, again, under Don, is it Matrick or whatnot? They wouldn't have apologized at all. They just said, stay in your submarines and screw you with that internet. But at least they're saying, like, hey, we admit that we messed up and we're looking to fix it. So, for those of you who got your hopes up for Fall Guys this weekend, there are plenty of other Xbox Game Pass games to play, and I'm sure hopefully by the end of this year we'll have some better news about that.
But like everything else Microsoft, because this is Microsoft we're talking about, this is not the first time that this happened. I think Laurent wrote it in his news piece about it. Phil Spencer, a couple of years in December 2019, he stated that Control from Remedy would be coming to Xbox Game Pass, and then the developer tweeted out like, "No, it's not coming to Game Pass." But then at the end of the earlier to start this month, it finally arrived. So, which is why maybe it is true, maybe it's coming, but the developers are maybe not ready to announce it yet.
Yeah, I think we also need to all kind of take into consideration how many moving parts are involved in marketing, in development, in sales, in acquisition. Like, there are so many people that it isn't like someone came and whispered in Phil's Phil's ear and he tweeted it out like, "Oh, this is straight from the horse's mouth." This is, probably layers of bureaucracy saying like, "Hey, we plan to have this. Just let us know when the go date is." And somebody slipped up.
It's there's always a slip up in these kinds of things.
Yeah, but this is a pretty big one. Maybe for a game that people weren't interested in, like Cyberpunk, that's fine. But this game people seem to be interested in.
I think Cyberpunk is the new Windows Phone, isn't it?
It's, what it is. It's actually, I believe it's almost worse than Marvel's Avengers because that came out with such like fanfare and hype, and I believe what are they at like 90? They're 90% less capacity than when they launched. Like they were struggling to get people to play, and the game, in the game rolled out in really good shape. Like it was a well designed game. It was just boring and not up to players' expectations. Cyberpunk came out and it was broken, and it still didn't meet expectations. So it's, I wouldn't say it's a Windows Phone just yet, but it's definitely in the Marvel's Avengers boat right now. Like it came out super hyped, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it right now. It's unfortunate.
Well, I think those were the bulk of the topics that we wanted to get to today, which means it's time for the week ahead.
I know we're gonna need like some kind of like sound, like some sound, some songs, some chime to like get us into that. We'll work on that.
Like the old Lumia ringtone or something to
Ooh,
bring back
that's
Windows
well,
Phone
yeah. We'll need
vibes.
to add that. Bring that back.
So this week for the week ahead, Aukey, which sells like chargers and headphones and cables and other accessories on Amazon, they actually reached out to us and offered us the opportunity to review one of their headphones as well as one of their USB-C hubs, 12-in-1 USB-C hubs. So we do have two of those reviews planned for the week ahead. And then I'll let Kareem get into some stuff that he wants to talk about as well.
Yeah, we expect to see some more builds, obviously, come out. While the expectation is that they're going to be minor, my hope is that we'll start to finally see some of this Sun Valley stuff start to proliferate through testing. So again, keep in mind that this is more fundamental under the hood code changes and things like that to keep it stable. Kind of builds coming out with the hope that we'll start seeing Sun Valley or at least some apps, the inbox apps updated to that. Maybe I'm waiting to see the settings. I feel like that should be tested thoroughly. So hopefully Microsoft will start seeding some of the Sun Valley stuff as well.
We're also pushing closer to the 20, what is it, 21 H1 update now because April is coming on. We'll be in February by next weekend, well, in a week and a half or so. So, yeah, I think you're right. It's time to get started and get us these new features for us to play with.
Totally agree, man. I'm waiting for it. Finally, because again, I'm enrolled in Insider, and I do it now out of a force of habit. I see like one of us will write about it. I'll rush over and update it, and nothing changes. And I'm like, all right, well, that was an empty thrill, so to speak. But I want to start getting like, hey, this is a new feature. Try this out. Test this out.
That's like me and the news and interest feature, which I still don't have, by the way.
I got it on two of my devices now. It showed up on my Surface Go 2 just today as I updated.
I think that would be the last topic, unless you
No,
have
we got
something
to
to
tease our
add.
guest.
Oh, right, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So we do have a guest coming on next week to the show. Well, it's technically under embargo as of right now, so we can't speak a little bit too much about it. But it is someone who works with Microsoft, and it's a pretty big guest that we really look forward to talking to.
Yeah, it's on a topic I think you're all going to enjoy. So just keep your eyes peeled. We'll be kind of, once the embargo is lifted, you'll start seeing some news about it going into the week, and then speak with our guest going into the weekend.
So there is also some political news that you want to discuss relating to Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken, right, Kareem?
Yeah, I believe a journalist by the name of Judd Legum, his last name spelled Legum, so however you pronounce that, please correct me later, pointed out some inconsistencies with Microsoft's public image versus their private political donations. In one of his tweets, he mentions that Microsoft is one of the largest contributors to the members of Congress who tried to subvert the democratic process. Microsoft has made no commitments to stop funding this group. At a company meeting on Thursday, President Brad Smith explained why. And unfortunately, the explanation is a bit appalling. He's basically, Brad Smith, in his explanation, says that we are doing donations constantly to political parties because we would like a seat at the table. We'd like to have a presence there. For the particulars of this situation, it seems like a pretty clear cut case for paying individuals who are objecting to the electoral college is like paying for people who are trying to silence the votes of certain individuals. He's got a long Twitter thread. It's about 15-part pieces. He breaks down transcripts. He breaks down signed checks and dates, individual political representation and representatives and what states they're from. And it's all just not a very good look for Microsoft at the moment. We'll be covering it. I believe since he's tweeted that, since the Thursday meeting, Microsoft has actually recently come out with a further explanation and clarification. There is a piece that we'll link to about this where they kind of explain. Make sure I get that right. And this is early on. We got this from Business Insider. Confessing to or acknowledging the criticisms of the donations to lawmakers and how they are basically going to halt donations and further reevaluate who they donate to. We don't know for how long this evaluation is going to be, but we'll be covering that as well. We just want to make sure we get both sides. And this is Microsoft. It may not be as glamorous as talking about Windows or Microsoft Edge, but it is very important, and I believe we're not going to be the only people covering this.
Very well said, because this will be a very important topic heading into this year.
Especially when you have to reconcile their donations with that party versus the Biden administration, who I believe will be taking an active role in scrutinizing large companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google going forward.
Well, I think that with that said, that pretty much does it for this week.
Yeah, it's 2021. It's January. Everyone's back, slowly getting back to work. And by back to work, I mean like producing things and creating things and living news. So we expect to just have jam packed podcast from here on out.
So yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and we hope to see you again soon. Oh, and follow us on Twitter too. I am at abacjern, and you are.
At Mindhead1 on Twitter.
Yeah, so thanks for watching, everyone, and see you again soon. Same place, same time.
Stay safe, wear your mask. See you next week.